Are you an entrepreneur or ready to become a boss? Welcome to Hawaii Boss, the business podcast made in Hawaii, where you will hear from island movers and shakers on who they are and their impact on our state. And now, step into the office of your host for Hawaii Boss, David Pettijohn.
Aloha, Hawaii Boss podcast crew listening in out there. You listen in, you watch in. We like it when you watch in because we're in the boss's office today. Very special guest with us today, Kamalani Murray, who is the founder, primary founder, but also the board chair of Kamalani Academy, which is a wonderful and I think it's becoming more well-known charter school in the state of Hawaii here on Oahu. Kuipo, welcome,
Yes.
and aloha.
Aloha. Thank you for having me, David.
Sure. So listen, we're always interested at the Hawaii Boss. We come to the boss's office to find out the real answers. That's why we're here with you today, because you obviously have what it takes as creating something like that, maybe out of nothing. I think it's an interesting sort of, struggle. We're all, as business owners or different things, how do we get from zero to hero, I guess it is. And maybe you're still on your path to hero here, but tell us, what's the impetus for you getting involved in school and charter schools and education in general?
Sure, David. Well, my main impetus was my 10 children. So
Wait a minute, 10 children. I have to say that we had 6 kids, and that felt like a lot. But 10 is, okay. That helps us out.
I am very proud of my 10 children, all of them. But throughout their educational journeys, I had quite a few go to public school. I had a couple going to private school, and I did also have some children going through charter schools. But I noticed as a parent that no matter what kind of school they went to, each of them struggled in their own way.
Right.
A lot of them were way above and beyond what was happening in school, and so they were bored and didn't want to go. Some were on the, needing help end and didn't get the help they needed,
Right.
just various things and facets. And so I was right after I had my last child, after I gave birth, I received a vision from Keakua, which to us is God, right? And I call him Heavenly Father. And vision was of a place, a school where kids could come and they could be celebrated for being their true, authentic selves.
Right.
And, my kids are part Native Hawaiian. I'm Native Hawaiian and local Japanese. And then my father's a Maori from New Zealand. So, culturally, our heritage, we are brought up to have a strong faith in God, right? So I had this vision. I quickly shut it down because I didn't have time to pursue anything like that and wasn't interested. But
were you afraid when you first heard that? When you got that? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Fear was 100% the reason I ignored it. But, as God would have it, what he gave me was a decade long of struggles and troubles. And, every time things happened, I would say to myself, oh my gosh, it's because I didn't listen. I didn't follow. I didn't do what I was shown that I needed to do. So anyway, 9 years later, things got so bad that I finally decided to start this journey of which
So a little 9-year struggle in the wilderness.
Yes. With each of my children, no matter what their ages and what school they went to. Some were in college by then, still struggling. Anyway, it's a long story, but
yeah,
suffice it to say that my children have always been my greatest teachers and mentors and my greatest allies. So I talked to some of my children, the older ones, and finally told them about this thing that I wanted to do, start a school. And
how did you let it out first? Did you have a meeting, or you just kind of whispered it to one of them?
No, I just, there's some that are my mentors. I consider them to be have come into this world way above and beyond me. So they teach me. It's not like me teaching them. So, I asked one of my daughters, about it, and I asked her if she could help me figure out a name. Anyway, she had me tell her about the school, right? The vision of the school. And when I did, she immediately said, oh, the name of the school should be Kamalani, which in Hawaiian means royal child. And if you take them separately, it's child of the heavens or child of God, right?
Okay.
So that really appealed to me, and I knew
Sure.
that that was the name, right? That it should
Uh-huh.
be. Anyway, so that's how things started, and then I, of course, enlisted the help of my closest friends and, you
Uh-huh.
know, associates, people I'd worked with in the past, people I was working with now, and whenever in my life anyway, my experience has been in leadership that whenever I listen to what I'm being led to do,
Uh-huh.
then the resources come, the
Right.
people come, and the resources come that I need because I didn't even know what I needed. My background is not education; it's business.
Okay.
So I've
Tell us
been
a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been
You
a
you know
business owner in
your
Hawaii
that
for 20 plus years.
that educational piece that
Oh,
which is different from most folks. I mean, you had this vision. Did you have the vision and or your experience? You already had that, and then you had the vision. What I mean is, did you pursue further education after you knew I needed this more things in order to get this thing done? How did you go about pursuing
well, that's a
further
great
education?
question. I mean, I believe everything I had done in my life up until that point, right, was was geared towards helping me to accomplish that vision that was given to me. But my bachelor's degree is in information systems, computer science from Brigham
Okay.
Young University, Hawaii. And then I pursued a master's degree at Hawaii Pacific University. It's actually an MBA with an emphasis in human resources management.
Sure.
So those two things, really helped me in the world of business, right? Like
Right.
business processes, project management, right? Getting things initiated,
Right.
getting them executed,
You
get
have a little
bringing
extra special skill and talent in project management, don't you? Aren't you an instructor in that?
Yeah, I do. That's kind of been my life's work. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, it's
Uh,
changed a lot. We could probably have a whole episode or two about
it
that.
has
But anyway,
forever
yeah. So
changing.
again, these tools you needed, you had them all, or you need to just you found some more people. Did you have to go educate yourself some more?
I really didn't have in Hawaii. One of the unfortunate things is when you want to start a school, particularly a charter school, there is no funding available to help you start a school.
Right.
So I had no idea where I was going to get the money to get a facility, right? To how am I going to get teachers or, a principal, just basic things, right? But again, God comes in clutch when we listen. So one of my high school buddies said that he worked for a company who helps people set up charter schools. So got in touch with them, Academica Nevada, had a lot of help from the two gentlemen who run that organization, Bob Howell and Ryan Reeves. And,
Uh-huh.
it just so happened, turned out that we were both in the same faith,
Okay.
that was, even more incredible, right?
Right.
So anyway, I can't really take credit for anything. To me, I just finally decided to not be afraid and to say, okay, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And once I said that, then, like I said, my vice chair at the time, the co-founder sort of is, his name is Steve Davidson, and he was a great help. There's so many people, I can't even name them all, right? I was led
Right.
to people in Hawaii who had done things in schools and gotten education that I didn't have, right, on the academic side. And yeah, it's just such a great blessing, and so finally I was able to, well, I want to say first that failure, really does lead to success, because the first time we applied for this school in Hawaii in 2015, we got denied.
Uh,
And
that
so,
was a kick in the gut, probably. All that work,
yeah,
years and years of work to prepare all that, and thought you had
yes.
everything squared away.
And there were so many people involved, in that project. And, I had experts. I had this company who had opened over 100 schools, right? And
Right.
so anyway, they said, we're going to try one more time. And so we did the next year, and we got approved in 2016. So
Did
we
they give you
got,
some feedback on what you needed to change or anything like that, or you
um,
just kind of read between the lines?
sort of, not really. At the time, the charter commission wasn't really set up to support schools. It's more of a compliance regulatory arm. It's
Hmm.
kind of like, we're going to get you, or we got you, right? Or you're not doing this or doing that. But what new schools in Hawaii need, new charter schools, is support. We were
Right.
given templates, no procedures, no policies, no anything. and that's,
It seems like they would want to be involved to have successful charter schools launch and take up some of the burden that maybe the public schools can't handle. You'd think.
yes, yes. I mean, that's what I think. We actually did have a couple years where the Charter Commission had an executive director, his name's Sione Thompson, who was really sent there, I believe, by Keakua because he set up a support structure for us charter
Uh-huh.
schools for the first time, and things were really starting to get better. And, we were starting to feel like there was help, and there was support, and there were people on our side. But then he left. And so, yeah, things are kind of back to where we were when we started, at least from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the good thing is that there's some new commissioners this year, and I feel a lot of hope and a lot of, support from them. And so I hope that things continue to get better for us. And, to me, as long as we can have conversations, open and honest conversations, then we, together we can do anything, right?
That's true. Hawaii seems to go at it extra slow.
Yes.
They're very,
I
you
agree.
could say they're deliberate,
Yeah.
but you could just say that, I don't know. But I assume that there's some challenges after that. You got started and being treated, charter school being treated the same as, a DOE straight regular school. There's some, it feels like you're maybe sort of, what do they say? The joke is redheaded stepchildren sort
Yeah,
of don't get the attention that you need.
that's for sure. I mean, for sure, like money talks, right? So charter schools only get less than half of the per pupil allocation or the funding that the DOE schools get.
Mm-hmm.
We're already starting off at a less than 50% advantage. That's just money wise, right?
Yeah,
So
you're starting already, at a
yes,
disadvantage
right. So we
each
have
year.
to make do, and plus they don't have to really pay for their facilities or anything like that. But here, we have extremely high rent. We're renting from the Roman Catholic Diocese, and it was even a miracle to get that location. And then it had to be renovated. So the total bill came out to like $3 million for the
Sure.
school when we opened it. And schools can't get into debt or have loans or anything like that. So
Right.
you're kind of at a like almost like a no-win situation. But again, I want to give the credit where credit is due because God opens the way,
Tell
and
us about a situation though in the middle of all that where you thought all the walls are blocked. This, was there a point where you're like, you know what? I don't have it for this. I don't.
actually, when we were initiating the project and trying to open the school, there were many, many blocks, but I never felt like, I don't know what to do.
Sure.
Like really, once I decided to open my eyes and ears and heart, right?
Mhm.
Like I told you, like the miracles just came consistently.
Right.
Where we ended up getting into a huge block, I feel, was at the end of our first year. There were a lot of things happening that the board didn't know about at the school, and we were in big trouble. We had to let our principal go at the time, and so we had to get another principal. And it was just our first year of opening.
Yeah, that's a big hurdle. I mean, if you're trying
It
to build
was.
everything around a solid principle, that you really do, the whole program is surrounding, of course, the teachers and things, but the principal is the driving force.
Right. So anyway, again, God came into play, and we found somebody else, and she was amazing, and she knew like sped laws, she knew the unions, she knew everything that we didn't know we needed to know about. She knew it.
Uh-huh. She
And so
uncovered
she
it.
really helped us get out of that lurch that we were in. And that's our po'okula, or our principal today, Amanda Fung. And
Uh-huh.
she's great. She's young, but she's been through so many, hurdles and conflicts, and we're still going through them, right? All the
She's
time.
a she's a fighter.
She is. She
Uh-huh.
is. Not only is she a fighter, she has integrity. And
Mhm.
really, the only thing that every decision depends on is what is best for our students.
She doesn't have any other agenda, really. This is my
No,
stepping stool to my big move and all that kind of
no.
stuff. How do you find people like that?
I think you just open your heart to God and He sends them to you.
Right.
That's what
Well,
we found
I
her.
mean, And that seems, when people have a clear vision and mission, that seems to drive things so much, so much more completely. If everyone, can get on board with it. How do you
Yeah.
explain that mission of Kamalani Academy to parents or maybe parents who are thinking about, becoming a part of it?
Um, how I think it happens today, which was different from when we were just first starting trying to get students. But today, I think word of mouth is big. I
Mhm.
think parents come to the school and they see what the school is like and they feel the difference.
Mhm.
Our from the top, from the principal all the way to all the faculty and staff, they're so caring and they're loving and they're compassionate, and they're, again, it's all about the children. It's all
Sure.
about the students. And if we have the right stakeholder in mind, right?
Mhm.
Who are we really serving? It's the kids and their parents, right? The
Right.
families, Muhammad. And so I think with that, as our vision or as our compass, right?
Mhm.
We can never go wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to make usually if you have that in the forefront of your mind, that's that drives your decision making every day. And is there challenges these days? Again, culture is important, and we think too that culture is sort of the of your facility, of your place or your place of business is going to be the sort of the differentiating factor in the future going forward of people if they're going to work with you or not. What's some of the challenges that you're facing with finding qualified, good teachers that can mimic and mirror this vision that you have?
That is always a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Especially for Hawaii. We don't get many, actual local teachers, right?
Hmm.
And so, but the people who come, as long as they have what we call the Hawaiian heart, right?
Hmm.
We can work with them. They can be taught, they can be trained, they can be, they can learn the culture, and the things that we do every day, in our Hawaiian way, our
Right.
protocol, things like that. All of that can be learned. What you can't teach someone is to have the right heart.
Right.
A lot of times, teachers and staff and even board members don't fit if they don't have the right heart, right?
Hmm.
And we're not all on the same, what we do is we do it for the students, right?
Right.
I don't know if you heard about it, but last year we had a really big struggle. We had well, when COVID happened, we were the only school open in the central district because our parents, we have a lot of single parents. We have a
Hmm.
lot in our socioeconomic, scale. It's really hard. Parents can't stay home and watch their kids. So
Right.
school, we decided to stay open. And our principal, Po'o Amanda Fung, she went into action immediately with her staff. They had these plexiglass dividers made for all the student tables with a
Hmm.
little to hang their masks. They brought in hand washing stations and sanitizing stations to all the classrooms. I mean, we our school was also a COVID testing site, for that
Okay.
area of
Yeah, you made
Oahu.
yourself it feels like you're part of the community rather than just like here's
Right,
our little niche.
right. Well, in Hawaii, I mean, I guess if we feel like if you're a charter school, like the community is what sustains you and supports you.
Right.
You're not, doing what the community needs. There's no way you're going to survive, right?
Right. And then I heard there was some confusion about you when you had submitted all the teaching, I mean, all the work that you had done as far as the student days. That has that been resolved yet? As far as with there was some.
Well, yeah, I was kind of getting to that. So last year, like I said, we had been open through all of COVID. And of course, we had a virtual program. We were also teaching for the parents who didn't want their kids coming to school because they had, you know, people at home with, immunity risks and things like that.
Right. Everyone was
So
still trying to figure out COVID at the beginning, right?
yeah, right. So we had been doing, virtual learning for almost 3 years. And then last year, the commission decided to take away all of our virtual learning students and not give us funding for them, which
Oh,
was
wow.
which was a huge number. So we lost 1.4 million in funding last fall. And the decision we had to make as a board and as a school is what are we going to do with these almost 200 kids, right, who are in this program?
Hmm.
So we decided we're still going to teach them virtually. We're
Right.
still going to fulfill what we told them we would fulfill without any money,
Right.
right, from the state. And so we did that, and we feel really good about that. It turned into a huge deal, at the end of the last school year because some parents didn't want to return the equipment that they were using for that
Mhm.
program. And so they started a social media page or site, and a bunch of parents banded together, wrote complaints to the Charter Commission. Of course, we got, it's called a notice of concern, which you never want to get those, but we seem to get them often. But not because not because we're doing things wrong, it's because
Right.
we're doing what's right.
Uh-huh.
So I guess it's kind of like that game you play where the mole, it sticks its head up like it's pounded.
Oh, whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole, yes. We feel like the whack-a-mole.
Uh-huh.
And there are actually many other charter schools that have gone through, a type of, we feel like, discrimination like we have, because we want to stand up for what's right for our kids to the commission. And, we don't regret that decision at all.
Well, yeah. I mean, if this is your business, that you should be the strongest advocate for it. Why would you lay down? And I think there's some vocal folks there. I think you're now just getting together as far as a group. Do you guys have an association where you guys are trying to get together best practices, be able to sort of rally and create your voice, be heard at
Yes, it's called the Charter School Network. So
Okay.
we started a network, and actually our PO, Amanda Fung, is the board chair of the network.
Okay.
But she has other board members who are great advocates. They've been in the charter business for a long time, since the beginning, and they are fighters. They fought from the beginning to get justice, to get, what they need for their schools, for their kids. And, I really have a lot of respect and honor for all of those people, because they are like pioneers, right, in Hawaii, in the charter
Yeah.
movement.
And there's a lot of, this isn't a new thing I've heard, but there seems like to be this movement comes up every now and again as you see some of the schools failing, and particularly after COVID, that maybe that the dollars that are allocated for each student should follow the student rather than the school
Right.
district that they're in.
Yeah.
And why do you think there's so much pushback against a model like that?
Oh, well, because I think the traditional system, which is the DOE system, right, which everyone knows hasn't been working, for the last 50 years. But
Uh-huh.
I think they just want it to be status quo,
They're
they
very
should get the
entrenched.
money. Yeah, yeah. They should get the money, and, they look at it like charter schools are taking money away from them. But
Mhm.
remember, I told you at the beginning, we only get like half or less than half of what they get per student
Right.
for kids. So I think the legislature did give us charter schools a little increase this past legislative session, which was nice, but it can't make up for the thousands that we don't get for our kids.
Right. Yeah,
That
you just and how do you make up for that shortfall? You must have a robust sort of grant or
um,
other fundraising mechanisms.
yeah, again, I will have to give credit to our PO, Amanda, because she got us like a $4 million grant, Native Hawaiian education grant,
Does she
last
sleep?
year, a couple years ago. Pardon?
Does she sleep?
No,
You're a principal?
she can't.
She can't sleep.
She works
Not yet.
all the time. She's a young mother too, and has 4 beautiful children, but she does her best. And, we have great support from, like I said, the community. Miguel is, one of our avid supporters,
Mhm.
parents, and other organizations that we work with, especially Native Hawaiian organizations. And I think there's a real camaraderie, that I see between the charter school leaders,
Mhm.
banding together and
Right.
supporting each other, because there's no one else to support us.
Right.
Our attorney general, who's supposed to be on our side, we tried to sue the state last year because of that 1.4 million that I told you
Uh-huh.
they took away from us. And there's no support. Our Attorney General works for the state, and there's not one decision that's made that's in the school's favor. And it's really hard. It's really frustrating. It's really challenging right now.
Sure. And I think
But
in any business, you're going to have those sort of these, whether you do a SWOT analysis, where you're going to have these things that are going to be coming at you and hitting you. And then you have to, create these sort of solutions for these things. And we have to do the same in business, but then we have to try and do it with aloha. So tell us a little bit about some of the principles that you try to, something that, some of the key things. One thing I know, a friend told me, used to live on the Big Island, and he talked about, that as people, we have each of us has a bowl, and that we're collecting mana as we're going through, how full our bowl is versus how empty our bowl is. That that's our responsibility. We are in control of that. Bringing the good mana in, and that. What are something like that, or other principles that sort of are meaningful for the kids for you?
Well, in our new vision, it's based on aloha, which is love, right? Ho'ihi, which is respect, and then malama, which means to take care of, right? The community.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel like our school community, right? I mean, whatever community you're in, right? Whether it's a school community or the local community in Wahiwa or, wherever, as long as those things are present, right? As long as we have love, and we have respect, and we understand that our role is to take care of each other, right?
Right.
Like really, we can get through anything, with those.
Like literally anything.
Literally anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But you might be scared sometimes.
Oh yeah. It's not, but the great thing about it is that, there's never a choice really, right? When you put the kids first and the families first, you always know what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's never a discrepancy. There's never a conflict, because you're going to do what's right for the family and for the students.
Yeah, that's always like your North Star, sort of like, okay, I'm making a decision. Did I account for this?
Right.
Yeah, these core sort of things
decisions based on money, right? We don't make decisions based on compliance or rules or regulations. We don't make decisions, based on anything else.
Right.
So I think that's the thing, if anything, that I'm the most proud of at our school is that we really have, a principal, which she's the leader of the school, right? The daily, day in and day out. We really have someone there who really understands that North Star and who exudes it and exemplifies it in every single thing she does, whether you see it or you don't.
And it's always important, I think, again, school, you're recognizing that there's a school board and you're, again, chair of the board. How does the board, again, for people who are, again, sometimes bosses come up and all of a sudden they're in a position where I got to go report to a board. What is, what does a board want to know?
Well, yeah, let me explain that just a little bit if we have time.
Sure.
So the board governs the school, and we have one employee, and that's the principal.
Okay.
So the board hires the principal hires everybody else, right? All the faculty and the staff, and everybody under her. But the board's responsibility, the charter that our school has, is with the board and the charter commission. So the board, really reports to or has the responsibility to uphold our charter, to the commission. And they're like our authorizing body. Right?
Okay.
So we just had our 5th graduation in June. So our 5th group of 8th graders graduated for the last 5 years. And our charter is up for renewal this year. So, so we have to go through this process, whatever the charter renewal process is, and, work with the commission staff and the commission to demonstrate that we should be, given our charter for another 5 years.
Sure.
Right?
That must be an exhaustive process. You have to hire a special consultant to come in, or your team has it all?
No, I mean, we just started it. So, it might be an exhausting process, but I don't know yet. So we have our
first recharge. This is your first re-up then from
Yes. We just opened in 2017. So
yeah. Well, that's a sign of progress.
I mean, I look forward to it. I think good things can happen when we have the right attitude, and we have some great people on the Charter Commission staff. They did come
Mhm.
and visit our school. I think it was last week or the week before. And, we're hoping that things go well for us this year in that process.
Well, if your previous statement holds true, if you've been, I think it is letting God in, letting him sort of allowing him to guide you a bit, sort of creates these avenues of things. So I guess with that kind of resource, it's never ending, right?
Right.
Like a never ending answer. Okay, I can get an answer. And what happens though sometimes, how do you, again, as an executive team, as a board, that's an interesting concept. What kind of people are on a board, and are they just because they have interest in education, or there's other people out there that might like, hey, I maybe I get involved in a board and I can help move things along. What does a board do?
Well, that is a great question. So the board governs the school.
Uh-huh.
So the board's role is to ensure that we are governing in a way that the school meets all of its obligations under its charter.
Sure.
Right. So the board is responsible for the what of the school, like the vision, right?
Uh-huh.
The principal is responsible for the how of the school. How does that vision turn into a mission, right? And how does that mission get accomplished, right?
She sort of executes. She's the CEO of the school.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, she's the CEO of the school. Correct.
Right.
But we are always looking for, for good people for our board. Unfortunately, it's a volunteer position. None of us get paid, right? And sometimes life gets in the way, and we have people join the board with, thinking they're going to commit for a long time, and something happens, and they can't, and so, or they decide not to. People's priorities change. You know how it is.
Right.
And so it's actually been quite a struggle for us to keep our board, intact.
Yeah, and it's like just like a staffing thing, but the board can be so helpful because it creates sort of this executive discussion about, here's where our direction is. Maybe we can look out as a team and say, what does it look like in 5 years? Where do we want to be? Or maybe get down to the nits, nickel and dime, the gritty stuff. How are we gonna, hey board, we're still in the middle of this recertification. What do we need to do to support,
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things. So I imagine
some of the kinds of people that are on the board, like for example, our treasurer, she has 15 years of experience in charter schools, which is an amazing resource because we almost never have board members who have actually worked at charter schools. As she's worked as a principal, as a business manager, so the whole thing, the whole gamut. Right. We're actually the first board that she's on.
Okay.
But anyway, she's the treasurer of the board, and so she's responsible for all of the fiscal and financial, right, chartering requirements,
right,
and rules and regulations. And then we have other people on the board. So one of our requirements is we need to have a parent as a board member. So we want someone who's who has children in the school, who has that perspective, right? Of how
you have a vested, you got some skin in the game. You can't go in and say, oh, this should be happening like this because I think it should. Right. Okay, it's going to impact your kids and then your neighbor's kids over here. So
yeah, so we've got a great parent board member. We have another board member who actually works at Kamehameha schools, and she's a data person. And so data is really important, right, in education and academics. And so we have her. We have another gentleman on our board who is actually my vice chair, Brad Foster, and his background is like agile and continuous improvement, and project management, right?
Sure.
So again, in that same vein of, he understands how to get things done, and he has done volunteer, like charity work for years, helping children in other countries.
Okay.
Right? So, when we met, it was kind of like one of those,
another one of those,
another one of those,
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, people probably listen to what I'm saying, like, that's crazy, but I just really want to give credit where credit is due because, other people have started charter schools and it was their idea or a group of people's ideas. This was not my idea, right? And so the vision that came to me, I feel like Well, God is in control. Like he wanted this school opened. It's
Mhm.
open, right? It's fulfilling the mission and the vision that he wanted. And
Mhm.
so our work as a board is to keep that vision alive, to keep it
Right.
going, and to
Then
keep
grow.
improving and keep, getting better and keep trying to bring more people, right, into the, like on the board, right?
Right.
Because we need good people who are willing to help and bring their ideas and their expertise, no matter what their expertise is in, right?
Right.
Just
Well, that's
bring
what
it to
happens.
the table.
Yeah, the board gets this sort of this gathering of collection of skills that may not necessarily be related to it, but can like as a business approach or a different way to look at things to help give some solutions to your CEO, right? Hey, here's what we're seeing in the future out here. Here's what we're, hey, I've looked at this data and maybe this will help you to accomplish this. And so there should be a real resource rich sort of an endeavor and teaching people their roles and what they're supposed to do. So it sounds like even staffing for teachers, staffing for your board, everything is a bit of a challenge.
Staffing's a big challenge. It is. Yeah, I'm not gonna
Well,
lie.
the HR background that you had, an MBA with a focus in HR, certainly is
Yeah.
what you bring to the table. What are some of the most important things as far as, again, how you treat your staff? You got your teachers there. Of course, you're focused on the resident or the families and the pupils and the students, but your teachers
Um,
there, how do you keep them charged up?
I mean, that would be a question for Amanda, but from what I see,
Right.
it's the same three things that I talked about earlier: aloha, ho'ihi, and malama,
Uh-huh.
right? If you love your teachers, you respect them, and you take care of them, and they know that, you're always going to have their back, then that's what keeps, you know, keeps
Yeah, those
people.
three things seem like they're that's the answer. How do you do charter schools with Aloha? Boom, boom, boom. How do you do business with Aloha? It has to include those things, both
Right,
directions.
right. So I can tell you in my professional life, or what used to be my professional life, right? I always did those things. I was always the boss. I was always the top person, right? And I always, approached every single person with those three. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, with those three attributes or values,
Sure.
right? You have to know the person enough to love them, right? Know
Mm-hmm.
their weaknesses and their strengths, right? Know how to use those things, know how to develop their weaknesses and turn them into strengths, right? You have to respect them, both their personal lives and their professional lives, right? You have to know what's going on so you can support them when things are not going well personally, right? Or professionally.
Right.
And to give them the training they need, right? And mentor them and help them, and they have to know you're there to take care of them,
Mm-hmm.
that you want them to succeed, not just in business, not just because you need them to succeed to make you look good. No,
Right.
they have to succeed in life. And
Right.
they have to know that you care more about their lives, right? Professional life is just one piece of
Right.
your personal life. So
See the person.
yeah, see the person. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's, and I think that's probably, those three things. Again, if you continue to do it, we're excited for the possible outcomes for your school and the future. Do you see expanding services, or does your board say, are you just trying to really just consolidate, make sure we get this good steady the K through 8 going, or what's the future look like?
Well, that has been our focus, but I don't know if you know that we did start to expand when we began, because the vision that was given to me wasn't just of one school. It was of a Kamalani, like all over the Hawaiian Islands and all over the mainland and all over the world. And
Okay, so
the
it's
vision
a
that was given to me was so vast.
uh-huh.
But the vision of Kamalani Academy is to it Kamalani Academy inspires and empowers future leaders to aloha, ho'ihi, and malama the community. Like that's so leadership is a big part, right, of
Right,
what our vision is. We
right.
want to inspire and empower our students, right? Our children. They're the future leaders, right? And if they grow up with that love and that respect and that attitude of it's my role to take care of or contribute to the community,
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's what's really gonna, you know, make the world and change it to become a better place than what it is, you know, at the moment. So
And I think every great,
we started, tried to start a Kamalani Academy in Las Vegas, Nevada.
uh-huh,
And same thing, we applied for 2 years straight, and the authorizer there denied us both times. And you know, it just takes so much effort and work and money, right? There's a lot of cost in going through the application process. You know, we couldn't do it, I guess, at the time with that authorizer. So, you know, we haven't given up on that.
yeah, you've got all that work done. Now it's just
Oh,
waiting for
yeah,
the
I
timing.
mean, our next step is to expand into high school because, you know, after our kids graduate in 8th grade, and my youngest daughter went to Kamalani, and after 8th grade, she had to go to the local DOE high school, and that did not work. You know, it just didn't. Not after being like at a place like Kamalani, and then
Sure, sure, it's tough,
a DOE school where you're nobody, right?
right?
And anyway.
Those are the ones that get lost, and you kind of told about it. You're after those, you know, you saw in your own kids too, that like the ones in the middle, they didn't get any push. They're worried about the ones that are, you know, the excellent folks, and the ones are they're just trying to like, hey, I
Yeah.
remember getting counseling. My son went to Conewaina for a minute. Conewaina High School. I went there.
Oh,
I
really?
went there for a minute too, but I was going down to the beach instead of going up to school, taking the bus up to school. So my parents had to rescue us and move to Oregon. But we came back, and my son went to Conewaina school, and we're like, you know, his grades are, you know, and we met with the counselor, and they're like, listen, just get a D. That's okay. You know, you know, it's fine. You know, that you don't have to worry about it. Just show up, you know. And I was like, that's the pinnacle of what we're looking for out of my son here, is like, hey, show up. You know, so I'm like, I was kind of like disillusioned. We got him into the youth, what is it? The Youth Challenge Academy
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
Hilo. So he finished off school doing that, and I think that was probably better for him. But yeah, you know, you worry sometimes as a parent. You know, my youngest daughter, she's now in 8th grade, but she went all the way from, you know, Big Island, Puna, you know, school district. So I'm guessing there might be some gaps here and there that I have to kind of address. But if you had a little bit more control, I could, you know, send to someone maybe, again, that hey, we can tailor a program around you that
Yeah.
works. You know, we meet our core requirements certainly as a school, but you know, we can now see you and see how we can make you do you in the rest of the you know, going forward, rather than I'm going to put you out, you're going to go to this, you know, private school, you're going to go to this, you know, it's anyway, I like your model. I love it.
Well, you know, like as a parent, you don't even know that there's options, right? Or
Right.
that there's different choices or different things that, you know, and what I've really learned in the last, you know, 10 years since, well, maybe 15, 17 years now since I had the vision, was really that it's not a one size all approach, right? Like it's not meant to be cookie cutter because every person is different.
Right.
Right. So that's why, you know, it wasn't like you have to teach this curriculum or you have to do this exact thing, right?
Right.
What was given to us, it was broad, right? You have to figure out what it is that that specific child needs to thrive, right? You know, some that are behind might just need to be able to just learn how to learn the letters or learn how to read, right? Some who are like way above and beyond that, you know, need a whole nother approach. They need to be
Right.
challenged, they need to be excited, they need to be energized, they need to be able to, you know, do what fulfill their passion, right? Find out what their passions are and do that, right? Anyway,
Well, it's Kamalani, sorry, not Kamalani, Kamalani Academy it sounds like it's going in the right direction. And again, the vision stands out very clear and very aligned with, you know, what we are, I think, to live and work and continue to live in Hawaii. So we're very excited that you've been able to, you know, put your vision out into the world and make that happen. So we're very appreciative of that, and we're very appreciative of your school. That we got to go into the boss's office and find out this information. But before we go, I always like to know a little bit more about you, a little bit personal. So a couple of questions. So when you're not, you know, busy trying to, you know, arm wrestle the DOE to try and get, you know, money out, what do you do? Where do you go on the week? Is there a secret place where you and your family go? I mean, 10 kids, you got a lot of options, I guess.
so I'll tell you my secret, David.
Uh-oh.
This is a true secret. So all my kids are grown now. My
Uh-huh.
youngest daughter is a senior this year. So
Uh-huh.
I don't have any children at home, really.
Okay.
It's just me. So what I do is I fly around the country and I try to visit each of my children wherever they live and spend time serving them or helping them.
Sure.
Um, I don't know if you know this, but I live between Hawaii and the mainland because
Okay.
my sister got diagnosed with terminal cancer 3 years ago.
Oh,
And
no.
in the middle of COVID, I moved to Utah to
Okay.
help her, but I can't go back and forth between, Utah, South Carolina, Spokane, Washington, Irvine, California, and Hawaii, which I still have two children in Hawaii.
Sure.
So that's what I do, and
Uh-huh.
it's not limited to the weekends.
Uh-huh.
So I don't work. I was told very specifically not to work anymore
Mm-hmm.
once I moved here to help my sister. And
Focus
so
on.
again, by the grace of God and his, encouragement, he's like, you don't need anything, you just need to listen to me, right?
Right. I'll take care of that. Yeah, you've been handling all this for so long. I got this one.
Yeah.
Give me a chance, right? Give me a chance to do one thing for you.
And really, it's so beautiful for me because honestly, while my children were growing up, I was a single parent for a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always had three jobs. I always owned a company. I always taught, graduate school at night. I always had a full-time day job. And so I didn't really get to nurture my children the way I wish I could have
Right.
and would have if I had a supportive partner at home. So I guess I'm making up for it now because for the last 2 to 3 years, that's what I've been doing is traveling around and, being with my kids when they need me or when they want me, or sometimes even when they don't need me or want me,
Sure.
just show up and cook for them and, do stuff with them. And it's a beautiful life. And I'm just really grateful that I have, Kamalani Academy is really, that's like my full-time job, right?
Sure.
It's not a job, but I'm just saying like, that's my focus.
Yeah, that sort of brings everything together for you. That's your life meaning has been identified, which is a rare thing more and more these days. If you can find that space where it's all you and this is where you're supposed to be and everybody knows this is where you're supposed to be, that magic happens.
Yes.
Kuipo, anything last words for all the White Boss listeners out there that are interested in you and Kamalani Academy?
Well, I guess I would say I welcome anybody to contact me if they want to.
Sure.
Can I give you my email?
Sure.
On this podcast?
So yeah. Give it out, or email. Where do we find you? Yeah, we want to find you.
KUUIPO.Murray, MURRAY @kamalaniacademy.org.
Okay.
Kuipo.murray@kamalaniacademy.org.
Okay.
So that's my email, and
okay.
Give
her an email
or interesting to anybody, right? I would love to hear from you. I would love to talk to anybody who has more questions or kind of wonders about something I said.
Sure. And I know there's a lot of people out there that would love to get involved.
Happy to engage.
Yeah. Well, I know there's ones that like to see the vision that you've created and move forward to, they want to pitch in as well. So we can get this out there. And
always looking for more people.
Awesome.
Yeah, great people.
Good people that can do it the Kamalani way. Hey, thank you so much for your time. And hopefully we meet again, all the progress as you're opening up different things. And until then, Kuipo, thank you so much and aloha.
Aloha. Thank you so much, David. Make sure to subscribe to Hawaii Boss and follow us on social media at Hawaii Boss Podcast at the links in the description. We'll see you soon in the boss's office.